Jim. So as Jim introduced, this afternoon I'm going to show you how to unlock the power of Trove, particularly the newspaper advanced search to build your family history. Through Trove you can explore millions of digitised pages of more than 1,000 Australian newspapers and government gazettes. So for those of you who don't know about Trove, we'll just go up here to About. Now, as you can see there, you can search Trove to explore amazing collections of Australian libraries, universities, museums, galleries and archives. It's free and available online all day, every day. So what is Trove? Trove is the place to explore all things Australian. It's a single point of entry to a treasure trove of artefacts, curiosities, stories from Australian cultural, community and research institutions. So who are we? So Trove is a collaborative effort of all of these institutions, libraries, cultural, community organisations, researchers, educators, volunteers, book lovers, art enthusiasts, history buffs and data wizards. If you wish, you can join the Trove community, and particularly today, the sorts of areas through which you might want to join the Trove community is what they call voluntroves, or volunteers, people who are going to particularly have input into Trove, and especially in correcting the digitised editions. Excuse me. So if we come to, once you open the website, and to get onto Trove, all you need to do is just type the word Trove into your search engine, and this home screen will come up. If you want to start searching the newspapers, if you click on Research, you'll get a slightly different screen. And in particular today, we're going to look at the advanced search. Now you can do a simple search, but the advanced search gives you far more control over what you're actually looking for. So if we click on advanced search, and then we've got choice of all of these different subsets we can look at. But in particular, today we're going to look at newspapers and gazettes. If you get to this stage and you decide that you don't want to proceed with an advanced search, you can click on the simple search here and go back to the different screen. So this is the place where you enter all of the information that you want to search for, or all of the sort of the basic information. So in this first box, we're going to put the details of the thing or the name of the person that we want to search for. We can add any of these words, which is a subset of the main word you want to search for. You can put in a subset of a phrase, or you put in words that you don't want to see. You can put in the type of publication.
Sorry, has it already started?
Hello?
Trove, has Trove?
Okay. In type, you can put in the type of publication you want to look for, either newspapers or gazettes. We're going to stick with any. You can put in a particular title and place, which I recommend you don't do. And then you can put in a date range, a start date and a finish date. So let's go through these and we'll have an example that we can look at. So the name of the family I'm going to look for is Watman. Now, I'm not going to put anything else in any of these words, the phrase or without. And we'll see what sort of result we get. Now, you could put in this, a particular person that you're looking for, you could put in their given name as well as their family name. But say their name was John or William, you're going to get every reference to a John and a William, whether it was anything to do with the Watman family or not. So we're going to leave the type of publication at any. So we'll be looking at not only newspapers, but also government gazettes. And then we want to put in the title of the publication or the place that we're looking for. So we know that the Watman family, and you'll notice there that all of a sudden pops up all of the internationals, which we're not interested in. We're just dealing with Australia today. So we know that the Watman family were in the area of Crookwell. Now, it automatically will come up with all of the publications in which the word Crookwell appears. Now, every little town and village back in the early days had its own newspaper, and Crookwell was not an exception. So the Crookwell Gazette pops up and it tells you when it was published and where it was published. It was published in New South Wales between 1885 and 1954. So, okay, we'll accept that, and it enters it into the titles that Trove is going to search for any reference to the word watchman. Now, we also know that the Watman family were around this area from 1871. So here we will type in 1871 for the year. Now, you'll notice that below where we put the year, a calendar for January 1871 pops up. If you use these forward and backward arrows, you'll see that it will go through all of the different months of 1871. But we're going to start with January, and we click on the 01 January. So we're looking for any reference to Watman in the Crookwell Gazette from the 1st of January 1871. Then we put in the finish date. Now, the Watmans were around in Crookwell until 1959, but because the Crookwell Gazette only published until 1954, we're not going to find them anyway after that date, but we'll put in 1959 anyway. And we can stick with the 1st of January 1959, or we can go through the months with the forward arrow through to the 31st of December 1959. Now, the next thing we want to do is click on the little magnifying glass down here in the bottom right-hand corner, which we will do. And you can see how quickly Trove searched. And it will come up here and it tells you that there are 1,088 results found in the Crookwell Gazette within the date ranges of 1871 to 1859, which contains the word watchman. Now, over here on the right-hand side, it tells you the newspapers, the place, the title of the paper that's found, and the category. So there are 636 advertisements, 320 articles, 102 detailed lists, results, or guides, and 30 family notices. It further breaks it down into date ranges. So between 1950 and 1959, there are 27 references to Watman, and so on down to 1910 to 1919, where there are 77 references. There are 4 illustrations, there are 4 photos, there are 57 references of more than 100 words, there are 344 references of between 100 and 1,000 words, and there are 687 references in excess of 1,000 words. So, let us have a look at the first reference. Now, the Watman family ran coaches from Cookville to Goulburn on a regular basis. So what we do if we want to read this article, we click on that Watman's coaches reference. And what happens is that in this right-hand part of the screen, we get a scan of the actual newspaper. And in the left-hand side of the screen, we get a text which has been scanned by electronic scanners from the newspaper and put into some semblance of order. Now, there are a whole lot of things that you can do to enhance the particular thing that has come up. You can left click it and move it around the screen. You can increase the size of what's come up in the newspaper. You can move it around, you can condense it, and so on. And over here is all of the detail that is in this newspaper. Now, sometimes what will come up here is a whole lot of very garbled print. You'll probably see an example of that. This one is quite good. One of the things you can do is by volunteering to join Trove, which then gives you the opportunity, if this is about your particular ancestors, to get in here and correct the text. You'll see this little pencil coming up, this little pencil icon. That is to allow you to review the text, and you can actually correct any kind of error that's been made, or in the case of the scanning of the article in the newspaper, it may have misinterpreted what is actually printed in the paper. Now, a few other things you can do. Up here is a detail of the newspaper in which this article appeared, the date, what page it was on, and what the heading was. Now, in order to make use of this with family history, I'll show you what you can actually do with this. First of all, you can copy this text over here by starting at the W for Watman, hold the left button down, left mouse button down, and scroll through the entire article. Using the mouse wheel, you can scroll right down to the bottom. Okay, right mouse click and copy. Now, if you've got a genealogical software package, you can then paste that straight into your software. If you don't have, you can open a Windows, a word for Windows, which I'm attempting to do, but the computer's running slowly. Here we go. And all the school kids must be on their internet.
Ali, just to let you know, you're sharing your web browser with us, so we can't actually see what you're doing in other parts of your screen.
Okay, let me see if I can sort that.
We'd have to, Leigh, you'd have to stop sharing the web browser and go to share the other app.
Okay, well just.
But we can take that as read if you want to.
Okay, can you see that I'm attempting to open a Word document?
No.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll go back and sort that because, so stop share.
Yep. And now you can share the Word document if you like, or share your main screen.
You see it now?
Yes, I can. I'm seeing the web browser again.
Okay. You see Trove?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So what we're attempting to do, what I'm attempting to demonstrate is how to save this information that was in that particular newspaper. Now, I've already copied the text, so we're going to try again to open a Word document. And what we do then is to paste that information onto a Word document. Now, for those people who are, say, writing a book about their family history, again, you can paste this information straight into your book. So you can then edit that information. You can see there are a few errors that have occurred in the scanning of that information out of the newspaper. So you can correct that and keep that for future reference. Hopefully, eventually, we'll go back to, okay. So the other thing that you can do is you can highlight this detail here. So if you just hold the left mouse button down and go back across there and copy that and paste that into either your genealogical software, the Windows document that you've kept, or into a book you might be writing about your family history. The good part about that is that this puts a live link into the text, so that at any time if you want to come back, say for instance you saw here in the text that it was 5 shillings EAOH. Now pretty clearly we know what that is, but if the scanner had made such a bad job of scanning this particular detail in the newspaper, you may want to come back here and see what the newspaper actually printed. Some of the scans that have been done are pretty terrible, but in most cases you can work out what has been said. So we hit the back button and we go back to all of these references. So you can see here's one about a wedding. One of the young Watman people died. So it's amazing the information that you can find about a particular family. Some of it may be to do with your immediate family, some may not. Okay, let's go back. So the other things to do if you're using this information to put it into your genealogical software, you need to capture the date of the printing of that particular paper or gazette, and what the name of the publication was, and you put that into your genealogical software, and also you enter the citation, which means you write into your software where you actually found that information, and as I said, you can save the sentence. Now, another practical application for Trove is, back in the previous presentation, we were looking for births, marriages and deaths. And if we found, as you probably did, a death for a person, all the birth, death and marriage registry is going to give you is a year. And this is a way that you may find the actual details. So I'll give you an example of that. So I'm going to put in a family member. They also resided around the Crookwell area, but because the birth, death and marriage registration details told you that the death occurred sometime in 1919, we're going to put 1919 in as the year. We're going to click on the 1st of January, and the finish date, just delete the previous reference that we had. We'll also put in 1919, and this is where you can actually see the practical application of this calendar. So we'll scroll through the calendar and we'll put in the 31st of December. So we're going to look for any reference to the name Haines in the Crookwell Gazette between the 1st of January 1919 and the 31st of December 1919. So having put all that information into the search screen, we come down to the little magnifying glass and click on it, and we see that there are 11,668 results just in 1 year, which is pretty scary. And again, down here on the right-hand side, we see how many newspapers, gazettes, various places, etc. Now, because I used the old search screen, we've got a malfunction here, so I'll just go back and correct that. If you don't re-enter the newspaper you want to read each time, you'll quite often get a malfunction, as we did then, and it'll search everything in Australia. So we go back and we've re-entered. If you do get that situation, you can come here to this particular little button and click on that, and it will clear everything off the screen. So we're coming back to, we're searching for the word Haines in the Crookwell Gazette in 1919. Okay, so that's a bit more what we expected to find. 756 references, all in newspapers, all in New South Wales, all in the Crookwell Gazette. So that's good. All right, so what we want to look for is an obituary. Now here's Mrs. Nellie Haines. There's an obituary there. She's not the one we're looking for, so we'll keep looking. Mr. David Haines, Mr. Thomas Haines. Wasn't a good year for the Haines family. might eventually find the one we're looking for. Now, as you see, you can scroll through these pretty quickly to look for the person you're looking for. I thought we would have found it in the first screen, but not so. Again, we've had an error pop up here, so I'm going to have to clear this and go back and start again. Okay. I think we've got it sorted now. I'm sorry we didn't get it right the first time. It's very interesting that we're looking at just over 100 years ago here, and just digressing a little, here's an article in the paper about all of these members of the Haines family who were hospitalised with what was then called the Spanish flu. This is the one we've been looking for. So we saw back in the birth, deaths and marriages that James Haines died sometime in 1919, and this is the first reference that we found to it. However, it's not the actual obituary that we're looking for. Okay, so there's the will of the particular person has been granted probate, but we still haven't found the actual obituary. Now you'll see what I was talking about earlier on about the garbled text that you get in this left-hand screen. So in that case, it would be useful for somebody who had an interest in this particular article to be a member of Trove. You can then go in and using this little pencil icon here, you can, if you've already got a Trove account, you can log in or you can sign up for free to be a volunteer, and you can then go in and correct this text so that for anybody coming along behind in future times, they will get a truer picture of what this article actually said. Okay, I might throw open to questions now, if I may. We'll just leave that on the screen.
Hi, can you actually unmute the actual article? Or do you have to, you know, you've got the article and then on the left-hand side, you've got the printout.
Right.
Did I miss something? Can you actually just highlight the article and transfer, copy and paste that over?
No, not,
No.
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 Yeah,
So you've got to actually make sure you've got the, on
yeah.
the left-hand side.
You'll see here that there's no facility to make any kind of a copy.
Right.
Whereas if you come over to this side and your little pointer turns to
Oh, right. Yep.
finger,
Okay. Yep. Got it.
and
Thanks.
then you can
Yep.
highlight that and copy it.
Thank you.
Questions?
Yep. Open to questions.
Coralie, I see
Yeah.
Coralie has her hand up.
Hi, Leigh. You know how you were having, trouble trying to find this particular person?
Yep.
Would it, if you know that you're looking for somebody with a, a particular name, instead of, I mean, as well as putting Haines, would you then put, say, on the next line, James as a Christian name, which would then narrow it down a bit more?
You can do that, Coralie, but what will commonly happen is that if you put in Haines there and you put James here,
Yeah.
and let's go back to the 1919s again and we search. We got absolutely nothing. Oh, hang on, here we go. Now, what you actually get is 305,357 results.
Yeah.
Because what happens is that in doing that, it has searched for everything with the word James in it.
Oh.
So here is Sydney James Haines, which has nothing to do with us. Here's Mr. Lenwood James Haines. So you can see the result that you get. I tried this just recently with another ancestor I was looking for, and his name was Gregory, and he was in the Grafton area. The problem with that was that his first name was William, so I put that in as well. The trouble was there was a William Gregory who was also a famous cricketer at the time, and the newspapers up in that area were absolutely full of this guy's cricketing results. So the chances of finding anything from my ancestor was pretty remote.
Sorry.
That answer your question?
Yeah, but even though if you had that, Crookwell Gazette, it's still looking elsewhere.
You could,
Right.
Yes. Well,
Okay.
if you went back in and re-entered the Crookwell Gazette, you would cut all of it would cut the Nepean Times and the Border Watch from Mount Gambier and all that sort of stuff out of it, but you would still get a whole lot of stuff with every James that was in the paper, or every James that was in the paper during that period. There was another example I had just recently where there was an ancestor I was looking for whose name was Young. So I put it into the Crookwell and the Goulburn papers, and of course there was so much reference to the town of Young, which is not all that far away from them, that it was an extremely crowded result I got.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. No, that's fine. I just thought, thought I'd ask, but now you've explained it. That's fine.
Yeah, it's just, a lot of trial and a bit of error.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Leigh, can you be specific about a particular type of article you're looking for? Say you're looking for Haines obituary or Haines wedding. Is that a possibility of fine tuning the type of article you're looking for?
Yes, Glenda, you can. You can stipulate. Let's go back to the
oh, right. So
article category.
Oh, right. Very good.
Okay. So you can have advertising. If you click on family notices.
Oh, great.
That would find your birth to marriages more than likely.
Thank you.
So yes, there's all sorts of ways of using the various search facilities to narrow your search.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good. Any more questions?
Janet has a question. Unmute yourself, Jeanette, please.
What would be the date, the latest date for the Trove publications?
I don't honestly know. Let's have a look. Go back to smarted myself here. Clear everything now. Okay. No? So there's a reference to a publication on the 20th of February. It's not a newspaper, it's an article, Air Force News National. So there is some quite recent stuff. I think for papers like the Sydney Morning Herald, rather than looking at Trove, you'd have to go to the State Library. Has got some more recent publications that have been digitised, more recent than Trove. So I'd be looking, if you want something that's quite modern, I'd be looking at the State Library, or even say the Sydney Morning Herald, or a particular publication you're looking for. I would go directly to them and see if they have an archive that you can access. Depends what it is you're looking for. If it was something like obituaries you're looking for, you could look in the particular newspaper itself, or there's another wonderful facility called the Ryerson Index. What is it you're looking for?
Oh, no, I was just wondering.
Oh, okay.
What do you say, the Ryerson Index?
Ryerson Index. I'll just digress. There it is there. Can you see that on the screen, on your screen?
No, you're still sharing Trove with
Oh,
us.
yes, an R and a Y.
Yeah. I'll just click on that and then I'll come back.
Oh, Ryerson index.
There it is, the Ryerson index. Now, the Ryerson index is a compilation of death notices in Australian newspapers. You'll see down the bottom there are 7,610,359 notices from 384 different Australian newspapers.
Right, thank
Now,
you.
if you're looking for death notices that are more recent than as in Trove, and certainly much more recent than you can get through the birth, marriage and death registries, this is it. It's a phenomenal. So the Manly
Thank you.
Daily, up until it stopped publication, the Sydney Morning Herald, all the Sydney papers, Queensland, Victorian, Western Australian, all across Australia.
Wonderful, thank you.
Hi,
Glenda
Leigh.
has a
It's
question.
Glenda. When did the Trove records actually start?
Ah,
I mean, 1788?
well,
I doubt it.
pretty much as soon as newspapers started to be published in Sydney, which wasn't long after 1788, that's for sure.
Okay, okay.
So if it's something, if it's anything that's been put into print, you should find it in Trove.
Thank you.
Janet has another question.
If I may, with today's situation where couples are in relationships, do they have anything in that they've registered that they're there? You possibly would have to look for children then, wouldn't you, for a birth? How would you?
With a great deal of difficulty. I mean, in most cases, my experience in most cases anyway, has been that the children are either registered under a hyphenated family name or the family name of the father. But yes, it's a little bit tricky to try and search for those people. Yes, it's an interesting situation that same-sex couples and so on can be registered, but children of de factos can't, or children of de factos can, but the de facto relationship can't be registered.
Yes, yeah. Thank you.
Any more questions?
Yeah, Leigh, I've got one. It's Jill.
Yes, Jill.
When you were searching for your young person, the name Young,
Yes.
if you go back to your search screen when you type in, I wondered, would it work if you put the two names in the first line? Could you have a look at that for me, please?
Okay.
I'm just going to see, because I have the same problem as you probably remember. I have a family name by the name of London, which is utterly impossible.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, it's got all of these words, or I can see why any of these words wouldn't work. But I wondered if you had two names, like say your friend was John Young, if you put those two names in there, would that still bring up every John, if you see what I'm saying?
I have tried that and I'll show you what it looks like.
Okay. Or the phrase, could you put it under the phrase or not really?
Possibly. Yes, you'd have to have a bit of an experiment with it. Now, the fellow's name is George Young.
Mm-hmm.
We'll search for any type of publication. The place to search again would be Crookwell. And let me see, when was he about?
The phrase might be interesting because it might actually just pick up when those two words occur together, perhaps.
Yeah, we'll try that. All right, so we'll try the phrase George Young. Now, he was in football 1913.
You have to remove the 2020, won't you? Yeah.
First of January. Yep. Now again, because he was in Cookville for longer than the Cookville Gazette was printed, we can just go for 1st of January. It's not going to make any difference really.
Mm-hmm.
So we get red herrings like George the Younger, of somebody who's got nothing to do with us. Alan George, the youngest son. Wallace George. So we get all the Georges as well. The first, so this is him, George Young, the fruiterer.
So there's a slight chance that you might be able to find them, I guess.
Yep. Oh, look, you can try all the different tricks. In my experience, it's been just hard graft, just using one word. It's always been the family name, and you just scroll through pages and pages of stuff until you find what you're looking for.
How many? Oh, there's your results. So you've got 30 for that particular year.
Yeah.
I guess that's doable. It'd be better than 160,000. Yeah.
The first two are him.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah. And this was interesting because this is my great uncle, and he took he came out here in 1913, opened a business in Cookville, and then in 1924 he went back to England on a trip, and this is a diary that he kept of his trip. It's been somewhat frustrating because there's only two of the I don't know how many episodes of this diary have ever been scanned. I continue to look for the others because my mother came back with he and his wife when they came back to Australia. She was 18, yes, I think she was 18 or 16, somewhere around about there. She came back with them and worked in their business. Anyway, that's by the. Any more questions?
Thank you, Leigh. That gives me a bit of hope. Thank you.
Any other questions from anybody?
Well done, Leigh.
Okay, I think we can stop.
Thank you very much, Leigh. I think everyone thoroughly enjoyed that, and I thank you all for coming. I'll stop the recording now, and